Hello, and welcome back to Inspire the Podcast with myself, Nicola Wills. Today, we have a very exciting guest who is a British network marketer, an entrepreneur and investor based in Ibiza here with me, and a single mama to Jasper, who is 5. She is the #1 income earner in her company with multiple 7 figures to date. As the proud founder of global team ID Network, spanning across 10 countries, they boast over 40 million in team sales. She has spoken at the biggest industry leader conference, GoPro, in Las Vegas to an audience of over 70,000 and has also received the $1 Million Circle Award for achieving $1 million net in 1 year. She gravitated towards network marketing while Jasper was a newborn after being hit with what she describes as the most mentally and financially challenging time of her life. Please welcome my very dear best friend here on the island, Amber Jenny Smart.
Hello.
Hi, gorgeous. Now, I just want to, tell the world before we kind of really get into your story and just how inspiring you are. When I moved to Ibiza, I knew no one here. Literally, it was just me, Ben, and the girls. And over social media, via Instagram, you had reached out to me basically saying, Nicola, you're such an inspiration to me. I've been following you. I'm here in Ibiza. I'm ready and waiting. And I was like, oh my God, she's like my first friend. And literally, I arrived. There's a beautiful bouquet of flowers waiting for me at my new home. And you were my first friend, here. And literally, we've just hit it off. We're like 2 peas in a pod. And, I always say to my team back in the UK and to everyone that I meet is you were so inspiring. I think just to put it out there, and I hope you didn't mind, Amber has just turned 30. And so you hear all of this and you're just 30 years old. When I was 30 years old, I was still chasing the footballer boyfriend, living out of my overdraft, trying to be famous, wanting to be in Heat magazine. And you're so established at such a young age. Hats off to you. It's just amazing. You're so inspiring to me. So this is why she's on the show, everyone, because she's just bloody brilliant. So Amber, let's go right back to the beginning, as we do with every guest. Tell me, where did it all begin?
Where it all began? So I grew up, I'm not an only child, but I feel like I've been an only child my whole life. I have a half brother and half sister. I grew up with my mum in the Midlands, a single parent my mum was. My parents split up very young, when I was very young. So I was maybe 1, maybe earlier than that. Had a really good relationship with my mum and dad, both of them very equal. But in terms of who brought me up, it was my mum. My mum brought me up. My mum did everything for me. At the time, obviously, I would see both my parents as equal. But actually, I look back now and I realise that my mum was everything, She did everything for me, and she really was my first inspiration in life, actually.
I just love her, Melanie. Oh, she's amazing. And she was a hairdresser, wasn't she? So you really saw her graft. I remember you saying, you remember sitting on the sofa at clients' houses falling asleep because she was the only person that was, financially providing for your family.
Yeah, so ever since I was a baby, my mum would take me out mobile hairdressing with her. She'd worked in salons. I actually come from a family of hairdressers.
That's why you've got such amazing hair.
Thank God. My auntie is a hairdresser. My mum's an identical twin. And my uncle's a hairdresser. My mum's a hairdresser. So yeah, it's in the family. And yeah, when my mum was pregnant, she worked all the way up until, I was due. And then she would take me out after a month of me being born. Her clients would hold me and rock me back to sleep and whatever. And, it was really ever since I was born, I was kind of in that environment, seeing my mum work, and her work ethic is incredibly inspiring. She has fought so many different battles through her life, and I've witnessed a lot of that. I saw a lot of that actually as a young girl.
Love that. And then what was your school life like, Amber? Did you have a good time? Was it struggle?
Well, school for me, I did enjoy it. I liked it. I actually changed schools quite a few times. We moved house quite a lot when I was younger, so I would kind of move schools, settle into different places. Then I even one time I even moved school and then moved back to the same school again. Because obviously my mum was single mom, we had to do what we had to do, and I think looking back perspective wise, I don't know, I've never actually asked her this, but I think, we just did what we needed to do. And if that meant I had to move schools to make ends meet or whatever, I guess, or live in a certain location or, and yeah, so everything was great. Like I did enjoy school. And then it got to the point where I was going to go to secondary school. And I remember my mom saying, you're not going to the same secondary school as everyone else. I'm letting you know, you're going to this school. And this school was like, nobody I knew was going there. Not one person. All my friends are going to a different school. But she said, no, this school's much better. You're going to be way better off here. And obviously, I thought she was the worst person in the world because I was like, I just want to be with my friends. You're taking me away from everyone. And in the end, now, when I look back, I am so grateful because actually, even though it was only marginally better, it was a bit more of a commute. The opportunities and the exposure to just a fraction more people that were just a tiny bit more, I don't know, creative, or the opportunities and even the size of the school meant that there was, a lot more people. There was a lot more. It was a lot busier. It was closer to a bigger city. So just was just. I just felt it was better.
Yeah.
In the end, yeah.
Looking back, connecting the dots, and the thing is what your mum knew is that, the saying is that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. She can see that, not that they're bad people, but if you put yourself in an environment where you're around people who are thriving, maybe more successful, then you can't help but like that rubs off on you, right? Yeah. So
it was one of the best schools in the area, and it was state school. It wasn't a private school or anything like that. Half my family went to private schools. I didn't go to private schools, so I just felt like I had to prove myself a little bit as well. But it wasn't easy because after 1 year, it was pretty much started with, I was always like really popular at school, to be honest. But also with that, I don't know whether it comes with popularity, I think so, but came the other side of it, which was like the bullying, the nastiness, unkind comments, and then mass people falling out with you. And I kind of just retreated. I got to like my GCSE years and I was a bit naughty at school as well.
We love naughty.
I've always been a bit cheeky and, I actually got suspended in school.
No way.
I got suspended in school for, I think it was something ridiculous, like stealing some test tubes out the window, out the cupboard, and we were basically smashing them out the floor, out the back of the building. I know, ridiculous. But so that happened, and then like school wasn't that easy really, because I think it really just showed me how difficult it can be when you're alone in a situation. And I just basically retreated back into myself. Like I was very alone. I had just one friend that I could trust and count on, and we just stuck together then. And that because she became my best friend, and she's still one of my best friends to this day. But yeah, it was really hard. Actually, it was really, really hard. And actually, I know a lot of those people even today still trying to be my friend now. Even though they bullied me back way back when.
Oh yeah, it's always so. I always like bump into bullies, and isn't it? I remember being bullied at school, and the feeling, like even now, like 20 years on, I see them, I still have that feeling of, oh my god, like my bully was called Michaela. Oh my god, it's Michaela, and she can't even remember bullying me, but it was so big to me, like that the effect that a bully has.
I always remember, no matter what though, standing my ground. And if I'd done something, listen, I'm not an angel. Like I was a little bit cheeky back, like at the time, but I stood my ground always. And there were times where I, found it really hard. But I always owned what I did. If I did something, I always owned what I did. And, I learned that lesson. And I remember learning a lesson, like, don't talk too much. But yeah. Yeah.
And so moving on then, Amber, you finished school, and when you were at school, did you know what you wanted to do? Did you have like a big vision for your life?
Well, I knew I wanted to be in creative arts, like fashion design, textile design, anything to do with fashion and design. But also found a massive passion for business. Loved business, loved just the way I'm all connecting all the dots and things like that. And loved like entrepreneurship, that kind of feeling of creating something of your own. So that all worked out, but I wasn't super gifted in the like art and design world. Like had an eye for design, had an eye for like putting things together, but like actually fine art. So when I was I either could have gone to college or I could have gone to do my A-levels. So I stayed on to my A-levels, and then I ended up leaving halfway through to basically, I found this college online while I was making just like doing research and development for textile and art design A-level. And I was doing research and I just came across the Arcadia Academy, London College of Fashion Retail Academy. That was what it's called. So at the time it was owned by Philip Green, who obviously owned Topshop, Dorothy Fairclough, but like all sorts of different massive retail, high street stores. And they had launched their own academy, and I just became obsessed with it. I had tunnel vision. Like I was not going anywhere else. I was on the phone to my parents. I was making, and I didn't even know I was doing this, but actually I was ordering the prospectuses, I was cutting them up and I was sticking it everywhere. And now I look back, that was like me manifesting, visualizing. Like I've actually got some of it in storage still, my old textile and design books, and all over these sketchbooks would be different bits of this prospectus, and it was so beautifully put together, and I would just keep ordering them over and over again, and they'd send them out for free, and I would like cut them up and put them everywhere, and I was just obsessed with it. And so I ended up going. I got in and I was only 17, and so I went to London when I was 17, and that was interesting, eye-opening, amazing, but also I grew up like that. I never moved out of my hometown. My parents basically did everything for me. Without me realising, I thought I did a lot for myself, thought I was very independent, but I wasn't independent at all until I moved there. I realised that very fast. Got there and just...
And you didn't last very long in London, did you?
Not really. I had to grow up very fast, and like, it was like walking around London, trying to find somewhere to live, like carrying a little hold-all bag with me, like with all my things in, and obviously I was at fashion college, so everything was fashion show every single day. So I didn't just have like one pair of jeans and a different t-shirt for every day. It was like a full outfit, full makeup, full hair. Like every day was like, who's wearing the most iconic outfit today? And I loved it. I met some great people there, and I was doing what I wanted to do, but I wasn't quite ready for it. Like I wasn't quite mature enough for it. I just wasn't ready for it. Like I'd not done anything like that, and I lived on my own. And the struggle of even finding anywhere to live, and it was a lot. It was a lot, but I actually ended up being on a night out, and we partied a lot in London. We had so much fun. Like we would go out all the time, and I think it was just in the middle of the week one night on like a free night. Come on, like let's go along. Like a friend of ours has got a table. Let's go. Okay, so we got ready, went out like on the tube down into London city centre, and had the night, enjoyed it. Obviously we all got a bit drunk, and then basically I remember a friend being like, oh, we're going to this next place, I think it's called The Den. I'd never been before. Anyway, we went there, and literally for some reason along the way, we basically had this other car next to us, and like they were like trying to race our car, and it was really weird. And obviously in London you can't really drive that fast in central London anyway, but it felt like, I don't know, there was like tension between the cars. Anyway, I like turned around drunk and stuck my fingers up at them like an 18-year-old, literally. Anyway, 2 minutes later we're in the NCP car park, which is right next to it, Tottenham Court Road. And like, I feel this like energy behind me. So I'm turning around, and there's like this huge group of girls, and me and my friends are walking. We're just like walking, and they're like shouting at us, and then they catch up with us, literally drag me back by my hair. Next thing I know, I'm on the floor. I've got a shoe over my head like this, massive stiletto heels. So we didn't go out in flats or anything like that. Huge heels, blood everywhere. My hair was all over the place. I was completely passed out. I had like massive gash down my face. And like, no one's to be seen. I'm just in this car park in the middle of London. I'm 18 years old. Like, I'm living here with no support, no one around me. And I'm just on a night out with my friends and this has happened. And it just, in that moment, I was just like, whoa. Like, this literally really made me grow up. And I was so naive to anything like that. I was like from a small town. And yeah, I get it. I shouldn't have put my fingers up, but like,
yeah, but no one deserves like a stiletto around the base. Like, that's so bad.
it was really brutal. And it really, really, once again, retreated into myself. Like, you know, just.
And then did you move back to Derby then?
So, yeah, I remember calling my parents at literally 5 a.m. in the morning. My mum's phone kept going to voicemail. Then she finally picked up and I like basically, she was like, hello. And I was just like burst into tears, but they'd stolen my phone, my bag, my keys, my ID, my everything. So I didn't have anything. But I knew my mum's phone number off by heart. And I was calling her from the hospital and I was like, mom, like really like quivering voice. And she was like, oh my God, what's happened? And basically she literally got in the car in that moment, came straight to me at the hospital. I had like 18 stitches across my head and luckily nothing down my face, but it was really bad. And like for like, you know, a month later, I basically had like to sit with these stitches and I had to have them removed as well. They weren't dissolvable ones. And yeah, she got there and it's like the worst nightmare really. Yeah, so that was really, really difficult. And I was only 18, so I went back to Derby with my head held high. I tried it out, but my parents just didn't want me to be there. They just found it so, and to be honest, I felt so, when something like that happens to you, you kind of were looking over your shoulder all the time. Like, especially I was so young, but again, made me grow up, like learn a lesson, like learn how to like be on my own. Like I was accountable for myself. I was getting up every morning. All those things I learned, and that really matured me. Being in London matured me so much. I mean, I was a small town girl coming into the city of London, and you'd be on the tube and you'd bump into somebody and they would like, I'd be like, sorry. And everyone would just look at you. And then I stopped saying sorry eventually because you'd be bumping into everyone every 5 minutes.
So yeah, if you changed, you would become that indie, don't you? Because, and it can be pretty scary.
I was 17 when I got there. I was 18, turned 18 in November. And then just like, kind of like sofa surfing a bit, to be honest. Walking around London and like some very shady situations that made me really, I had to trust my intuition and gut. And like, I think looking back, it was really bloody dangerous, to be honest. My mum said she used to lie awake at night, like worrying about me all night, like what's she doing? But I was dead set on going.
Yeah. And the thing is like you are, you know, there's no way you'd have been able to achieve all of these things without having that passion and drive to make it happen.
Yeah.
And obviously that put into a positive thing is amazing, but that put into a situation, you know, like your parents, the same as mine, they had no control over me.
Yeah.
Like once I was set on a thing, that was it. I was off. Anyway, you're back to Derby.
Yes.
And your dreams of like being in fashion kind of came, you went to Selfridges in Birmingham.
Yeah. So I worked in Selfridges in London. Loved it. Loved the energy. It was great. And I then started work. I obviously left there when I left London. Then I went back to Birmingham and I got to Derby. And then I went to Birmingham because I found Derby so slow. I was like, gosh, the buses come in every 3 hours. I need it to go every 3 minutes. Like, yeah, I've been in London. This is not for me. No, that was really good. So I started working. So I thought, right, where's the biggest retailer that I can work with? Who is the biggest retailer? In the Midlands, Selfridges. Selfridges Birmingham have the best collection. They have the best everything. Started working with men's super brands there. So actually worked with some of the like ladies, kind of high street fashion in there, and then ended up being promoted into men's super brands quite quickly, for like ideas and different things, visual merchandising ideas that I'd put forward, like just because I'd come from fashion and something. And I remember my old floor manager, Ruben, yes, and he was like, you know, taken aback by the things that I'd done, and that was great. And yeah, so we did that and loved that, but then got like really just sick of working in retail. Yeah, you know, didn't really allow for any creativity other than getting the odd client that would come in with a budget, and that was great. And that was a lot of fun, you know, working with those kind of people. But yeah, and then I basically met a girl who completely changed the course of my life. And her name's Steffi, and she was in art and design as well. She did fashion design. And actually we met and we were both leaving Selfridges on the same day. And we were like, oh, we really want to go out to this. She's like, oh yeah, I really want to go to that. And I was like, I've got nowhere to go. She's like, no, neither have I. So, well, you know, when you just get on with somebody, yeah, and your energy just clicks, and like we were the same age, we liked the same things, and we wanted to go to the same places, and we were doing the same backgrounds. We didn't have anything to go with, and we were just like, should we just go together? Like, that's how quickly we clicked, and that I felt comfortable to just stay at her house. And you do when you're like 19, right, 20, you just do it, don't you? So we went out, and we had the best time. We had like 6 months of just kind of like loose fun and having loads of parties and just exploring like what we did, and we became like best friends, inseparable. It was so nice. And then I just got introduced to a new network of people in Birmingham, basically.
And one of those happens to be...
Yeah, so I met Lee, who was the father of my little boy, Jasper. So
like that meeting and him, changed the course of your whole life, huh?
Completely.
Yeah.
And I met him through Steffi. So Steffi, he actually wanted to date Steffi, and then he ended up being with me. And that was a funny conversation, and like everything was fine. Like she wasn't interested in him or anything, but I don't know, you know, girl code. But yeah, so literally we just like completely like fell for each other like there and then. And yeah, like that was 8 years of my life, and it led me down the complete opposite path. Yeah. So events, music, hospitality, and a massive career in working with, you know, every major dance music artist in the world. And that was just amazing. You know, that was incredible, really hard, really challenging. And yeah, like we worked together on that for a long time.
And with Lee, you moved to Ibiza.
I did.
Yeah. And you just had Jasper, is that right?
Yeah. So Jasper was 10 months old.
Okay.
And basically, Jasper was 10 months old, and we had got to a crossroads in our life, a really, really difficult part. So I always, you know, my life was literally, one side was having this brand new, beautiful, gorgeous baby, which I was totally besotted with. And the other part of my life was falling apart, crumbling away, like in the worst situation of my life.
Yeah.
And why was financially?
Yeah.
Because the venues that we had, basically we could no longer trade in them. It was something happened in the space, and it basically completely put us out of business. Like, I worked for the business, it was his business. I worked for the business. I was production director and head of sales and events, and we were together for years, and we ran it like our own, obviously, but it was his business. And yeah, overnight, 13 years of his work had gone, and it was incredibly challenging, difficult. And obviously I was pregnant, and then it actually happened when Jasper was 3 months old.
Okay.
So he lost the license, and it was awful for a lot of people involved, because we were just developing a new space. And yeah, it was just incredibly challenging. Yeah. It was so difficult. Without going into all of the details, it was just so difficult. We nearly lost our house, our car. We had to juggle things. But obviously, I was a new mum. Like, I didn't know how to even navigate being a new mum, and that was like, it was so hard. Like, whilst he would be out making ends meet, literally trying to, you know, sort things out, I would be at home, and we would literally fight each on our own, you know. And so my mum was like my saviour through that. She supported me so much, and I couldn't have done it without her, actually. So yeah, that was really difficult, but it was actually what led me to moving to Ibiza. So we had a fresh start, fresh landscape, new energy, managed to rent the house out that we had, and use that rent to move into a little tiny apartment, basically. Got new space. Like, it was a home from home for us. We worked in dance music. We worked in with you know, a lot of people here, and it just made sense. It was 2 hours away. We just needed to get out of this really dark spiral.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of hanging over. And it wasn't all partying or fun and games here or anything like that. It was just being somewhere with clarity. It was able to reflect on decisions. It was putting things into perspective, not being triggered by things that were happening on our doorstep there. And that really allowed us to focus on Jasper, obviously. And when we came back, we were so much stronger for it.
Yeah, of course.
And think it was the best decision, but it automatically, I fell in love with Ibiza. I'd always wanted to do a season there, and also, you know, that was one of the reasons why we came, because Lee wanted to make that happen for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we did. And as a season, yeah, I had my baby. I know, I loved it. I loved every day. It was just amazing.
So you're here, living on a shoestring, literally like no money. And as everyone knows, Ibiza is like one of the most expensive places on earth. Yeah. You know, so what you see on your Instagram now is not what life was like.
Not at all.
Yeah. And not very all. Tell me.
And the beaches are free.
Yeah. I think exactly. Walking on the promenade is free.
Exactly.
But so you're here, you're in this apartment in Ibiza, you've changed your environment, thank goodness, because that, like, everything, that helps everything. And then when was it, and what was the catalyst for you to take matters into your own hand? Because ultimately that's what you did. You know, Lee was bringing in the money at that point just to make ends meet. And then when did you go, enough, now I need something for myself?
Yeah, so basically I'd been here 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. I remember the days. I think our contract started on June the 10th or June the 5th, something like this. And then on the 24th of June, I signed up to my online business. So it's like, as soon as I got here, I was like sprung into this new energy. And I also find Ibiza in general is just like, I love it here, because even now it teaches me to play bigger all the time. Like, there's so much vibrancy on the island, so much energy, amazing energy. People are living their best lives, literally, whether they come on holiday here and it's for a week, or whether they're, you know, here for the foreseeable. But people are really taking care of themselves, and the environment was everything. Actually, when you just said that, like, it's just such a clear, obvious change that snapped everything.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I was scrolling away. In the night, and I just came across this girl. She added me on Facebook, and I was like, oh, do I know this girl? She's from Birmingham, so maybe I do know her. But I didn't know her, and I just reached out to her like, hey, do I know you? Like, someone's added me on Facebook. I didn't really use social media very often then. I didn't even really change my profile picture or anything. Like, it was just, you know, stagnant really. And she's like, oh no, I'm just expanding my network. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started having a little look at her wall, and I saw her flying first class. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'd love to do that with my family. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do that. I'd love to be able to travel, like, and just, you know, work location independent and not be tied down or anything. Because even though we had success in the business, we were totally chained to it. We couldn't leave. Like, we would have one holiday a year, and that would be something that was industry related anyway. So it was like a festival or something. It was nothing really switching on. Anyway, so back to what I was saying, but yeah, like, came across this and I just dived straight in. I was at the point where I was like, I really desperately wanted something for myself. I was obviously 10 months in with Jasper, and I felt ready, like, and also I really wanted to contribute. Like, I really wanted to be able to contribute. That's who I am. That's, you know, I've never been like someone that won't pay their own way, or, you know, love the idea of having my own, but my mum always taught me to have my own money, always. Now I didn't get that really until later on, that she was like, I can still hear it in my head now, her telling me about independence and, you know, having that. And so it was in my blood really to do that, to want to contribute rather than sit back, and also the emotional stress of not having money.
Yeah.
You know, it was really hard. And also, you know, borrowing money all the time. I hate that.
Yeah.
You know, I used to have to borrow money off my dad, and I'll give it back, and, you know, not really know when, and you know, and also a stack load of credit cards I needed to pay off, which was full of business debt, and also, you know, it was just chaos actually.
Yeah, and
on it.
When I feel like, I mean, that's all for anyone, but especially as a woman, when you have no money, like, I just had it really knocked my confidence, because it made me feel trapped, even when I didn't have a boyfriend or when I didn't have a child. So when you add the responsibility of a child on top of that to a woman who doesn't have money, there's no way out. Like you know, even if you wanted to like just go and get your hair done or get your nails done, if you have to ask someone for that, the demoralizing feeling that it is just, it's awful. And, you know, and well, both of us, like we try to help people have even just a few £100 more makes a difference. So when you started, what were you looking to earn? Like, what were you like, okay, what I need to just earn?
I just wanted to earn my car finance. I wanted to make my car finance. If I could just, I remember we talked about it. If you just do that, that would take a massive pressure off, because I was like 6 months behind on that, by the way. Car in Spain. We'd driven the car to Spain. The car was in Ibiza. 6 months behind on it. Like, I mean, like, you know, maybe not 6 months, maybe 4 months, whatever. It would be like one every now and again wouldn't go through, and then another one wouldn't go through. It was just a mess. I just didn't look at it. In fact, for a long time, I didn't look at what I owed because it scared the life out of me. It was only when I really took control of that things started to change in my business, in my life, everything, you know. So I did that, was a closet network marketer for 3 months, and literally didn't want to put myself out there at all. I thought, how can I go from running these venues to selling weight loss coffee on the internet? Like, people are going to think I'm ridiculous. But I got myself together. I did my pre-recorded video. I had little notes on my laptop, and I read it from my laptop, and I did it on my MacBook camera on the little photo booth, and I recorded it, and it was so awkward. But and also I look back and I was saying phrases that I didn't even know what they meant. I just thought it sounded good. This doesn't even, I literally look cringing looking back. And she shared it the other day on Instagram. And I'm like, oh my God, that doesn't even make sense. Like, how did anyone take me seriously? Anyway, it done really well. People really encouraging of me, much more than they are now. And so, yeah, it went really well, and started, you know, bringing people in. Didn't make really any sales, didn't do very well with that, but I wasn't using the products, and I didn't learn about that and all of those things about being a product of product. It was because I was breastfeeding that I didn't do that. So anyway, winged it completely. But it was only when I actually got massive knockback in August, when my upline, just like sponsor, just went and 360 on me and went really weird with loads of people. And she,
just for the record, but anyone that doesn't know what that means, it's like a mentor, like someone that helps you within the business. Basically just quit, didn't she? So yeah, just quit.
She quit on me. She didn't quit on anyone. She quit on me and a few other people, and I still to this day don't know why. It was very bizarre, and I felt so hurt by that, because I'm not a bad person, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I was honestly so, you know, that feeling in your heart, and you're like, when you like take your breath away, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, I was so like naive and whatever, but you know, people are like that, aren't they? And you come across people like that all the time. But I was so hurt by it, because I just felt like I'd done so much, and really, in reality, I'd not done hardly anything. And she was probably just bored of me, you know, not really putting my all in. She was deadly serious, but she was a different stage of business to me. Yeah. This is all so new. Anyway, whatever, that happened, and then I thought, no, I'm not having this. I'm not quitting. I've put this all out on my social media. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure I do it, and I'm going to get to the top. I'm going to absolutely smash it, actually. So that is when I got my fire. And then I started training my team. I started making my own groups. I started doing all these different things, providing resources. I was being everything to everyone, and really taking on that role and stepping up. So she moved out of the way, and I stepped into it, and I loved that. And then I really had my first big promotion, then hit like the company car plan a few months later, found my flow, found my identity. And I was so happy, because I was being tried to forced into this box before, and I wasn't that person. And she didn't like it, because I didn't want to do that. And I wanted to be me. And so anyway. And then moved into my other company. A new opportunity came along.
Why on earth would you quit when you've earned the car? And so within these like companies, you can earn cars, you earn these big bonuses. So you were doing, you know, maybe really well. Why did you quit that business to go on to another thing?
Got to the golden moment, hit the car plan. That was what was in my mind. And then saw the other side of the curtain, and I didn't like it. Didn't like what I could see. And ethically, I didn't feel like I could build legacy there.
Yeah.
And, you know, actually looking back, was never going to build a legacy there. You know, but I realise now that was never going to be my forever home, and actually couldn't ethically promote it. And and so actually, I just chose to step back, and I found a product as well at the same time, and I tested it out for a month or so. I remember I was at Park Life working one of my last ever events, and the weather was horrendous. Anyway, tested the product, loved it. My skin's always been really, really eczema prone. So it worked amazing with that. And then I thought, right, that's the ultimate confirmation. This is what it's like to work with a product that you love, along with loads of other things with the company that they just did better. That was it. It was no shade. It was just, they just did things better.
Yeah.
And so I got up, I left. Everyone thought I was crazy, and started again. And I didn't get any decent earnings for probably about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I literally had to start again. And I wouldn't be able to do that without the support that I had, in my home life at home.
Yeah. And so obviously at this time, you're building this business, mum to Jasper. Like, how did you juggle that? What did that look like?
Yeah, I would literally work in the nap times.
Yeah.
I'd work late at night, and then I'd get up. Tend to not get up early in the morning because he would be my alarm clock, so there'd be no chance of doing anything. But like literally just pockets of time all the time. I remember he used to nap in the car, and I'd just sit on my phone and work. Yeah. I'd just sit on my phone and just work whilst he was napping in the car, and just taking what I can. And also like knowing that I can't. I think also there's times where when you've got children, you can, and you've got also deadlines and things, and you just can't control everything. So you just accept what it is, and you get on with that, and you put them first, and then you go to that next, and not to get frustrated in that situation. So
with Jasper on your phone.
Like, definitely. I would be lying if I said I didn't do that. Yeah, like I'd be lying. And I think also it's like, it is really hard, and it needs to be recognised that it is really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I will not say it enough. Like, having kids is hard. Like, people don't say it enough. Like, it is really hard, and trying to like maintain something for yourself, it's like finding the balance. When you want to build something crazy big, there is rarely balance in your life. But it's all about what your bigger picture and your vision is. And my bigger picture and vision was, I need to get my family out of this situation as fast as possible. I need to build something that's separate to, everything else we've got.
Yeah.
That is mine, and that I can then, contribute. And instead, all I wanted to do was make my car finance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically, I started acknowledging those bills. Started looking at the debts that I'd got.
You really work on your money mindset then, because I'm sorry, but when you don't have any money and you're being asked for more, it is the most cripplingest feeling, isn't it? And it is just so much easier just to go, okay, bye, like leave that on the side. How did you change that to go, okay, I need to do that?
There's a few things I can think of that I did. And obviously working on myself was generally here, personal development in general, podcasts, all that kind of thing, daily. Working on that made me have a better sense of togetherness, I think, which ended up me thinking, right, shit, I really need to get my arse in gear with these debts I've got. So actually, I think that matured me a little bit. I was like, actually, I can find it within myself to go and sort this out. And I remember I've got a drawer full of bills that I'd not opened. Obviously, they're bills that have come through, like multiple times. Car finance, I remember I owed like £300. It's ridiculous. I owed £300 on an Apple MacBook laptop once. Didn't pay it for God knows how long. Parking tickets. Oh, I was a nightmare. And I just used to let it consume me. And I didn't even tell anyone. If I'd have just spoken about it, I probably could have got help with it straight away. But I just was so embarrassed and consumed by it all. So anyway, one day I got all the letters out the drawer, and I just opened all of them, and I read them all out. And I acknowledged all of it. And I literally sat down and I went through everything and was like, right, I need to make this much, over this much time. And I'm taking full responsibility for it. And I intentionally did that. And I just acknowledged it. For the first time, I made that decision. I was going to pay this off. I'm not doing this any longer. I'm paying this off. I'm not having debt anymore. And that was like credit cards. It was all sorts of different things. Yeah.
And that's really how you build confidence and self-belief, when you
do what you say.
Yeah, do what you say you're going to do, and not look for Lee or anyone to pay that off for you. And so how quickly were you able to pay that off working your business?
Yeah, it wasn't actually that long. It was like 4 months, something like that. And it was like, I went to a company event, and I saw other people paying their full mortgages off. And I was like, wow, this opened my eyes. But honestly, I was like, they were very different to me. So it wasn't like, oh, I can do it better than them. It was, oh, I can match them, but do it in my way.
Yeah.
And that really inspired me. To this day, still friends with those people, still in those circles. And that really, really, I just got laser clear. And it was January the 5th. I remember I went out on that, after that night out, we got really drunk. And I remember thinking, why did I do that? Why have I gone out and got drunk? Like, it was like after the event, and it was like something just hit me. And then I just decided, I saw my friend Alex, he did 100 days no alcohol, and I was like, and all these things he'd achieved, and I was like, I need to do this. I need to make this massive change. I just need this massive laser focus and clarity. And so I did 100 days no alcohol. I started getting up at 6 a.m. every day. I started doing everything that everybody says to do, basically, that everyone rolls their eyes about. And I started doing it. Yeah. I gave myself the window between 5 and 6 every day. The 5 a.m. club. It was like big miracle morning, like was going around my circles at that time and in my company and team. And basically I decided at that moment, I was like, I'm going to give myself between 5 and 6 every day, so it's actually achievable to get up. And every day, and it got to the point where I was obsessed with getting up at 6 a.m. If I didn't get up at 6 a.m, I was having a bad day, because I knew how much more proactive and productive I was. I could see I was coming on leaps and bounds over everyone. I was ahead of everyone. I had the day set up. I'd done all my reach outs. I'd got my product content together. I knew what I was doing for the team. I'd got Jasper dressed. Like, everything was ready. It was like 9 a.m. and I'd conquered the world. Like, and I did that for like so long, like 2 years probably. I did the no alcohol thing, ended up doing it for 6 months. And then that was in lockdown as well. So I was doing that through lockdown, no alcohol, getting up at 6 a.m. And yeah, like, just I wouldn't go to bed till I'd finished everything, like, you know, or like done things that were, you know, I always say, what are the 5 things that you can do to, like, 5 non-negotiables that you can then fit in and around your day. So you might have a nap time here, you might have 5 minutes here. Like, what are the 5 things that are going to move your business forward that are completely non-negotiable that day? And they might be small things, but they're going to move you forward. Those things, if you do those 5 things every day and stick to it, then when you do have pockets of time, you can just look at that list and go, right, I need to do that straight away. Not sit there searching for inspiration on TikTok or Instagram or whatever and think, oh, I've just lost that hour. Like, that's how I was productive with Jasper around me through lockdown, through, you know. But that discipline that no alcohol gave me actually changed my life, because I applied that discipline in lots of different areas of my life, and it actually really proved to myself that I could do anything. And it just completely changed my life, honestly. And now to this day, I'd always try and do 100 days no alcohol at the start of the year every year.
Yeah. And you notice a difference even now?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's crazy. Every year I'm more moderate, more like on a health basis, like things I notice, you know, I would drink in the week. Now I don't drink in the week. I don't drink at home. I don't even buy alcohol in shops at home anymore. I've got some alcohol in my house, but like, I don't buy it. Like, I would buy wine to have with dinner, things like that. Like, and all these things, people say to me all the time, oh yeah, but I just have one drink every now and again. I'm like, honestly, do 100 days, do 30 days, do 60 days.
Yeah.
I don't think you really feel it till about 60 days, but like it affects everything, your sleep, everything.
Yeah. And it's so interesting you say that, because building my business, and I'm the same as you, really, like, there has to come a moment where you say, the line in the sand, everything I do from this point forward is obsessive, yeah, in a positive way, to changing your life. Yeah. And changing your life is fucking hard. Yeah. Like, if it was easy, everyone would do it. You know, both of us are sat here in Ibiza living our dreams because we built this online business with different companies, but that has been a catalyst for us. Yeah. And for me, I was like consumed by that laser beam focus that I didn't drink for a year. I also didn't watch television for a year because it was like longer. Just there was no sacrifice. Yeah, nothing in watching that telly that would ever make me successful. And so I literally like got rid of it. Had no idea what was going on in the news. I mean, that was probably the best thing ever. Yeah, I don't. People go, oh, you're clean and doing your little bubble. And you're like, yes, I am. And I'm fine. But you know, like, But those years changed my life. And yeah, the same for you. How long were you kind of in that, like, can you remember, like,
laser focus, obsessive, like, I would say sacrifice, but it's not sacrifice because it gave us so much. But like, it was intensely 2 years, I'd say. And but I also felt like I was doing the legwork the year before, but just not, but sowing the seeds, planting the seeds, but not getting any of the returns. Then my next year was like full momentum, like getting genuine results back, and then just feeding into more and more and more. Like, one thing I would say is that any time in business that you get momentum, don't drop the ball, because it's so hard to get back. It's so hard to get back, it's so hard to do that level of sacrifice again. So, keep going and keep going at it. But yeah, like two and a half years, I would say, 3 years. And actually, I did all that sober. I did all those no nights out. I said no, had all the awkward, difficult conversations. Oh, you're not drinking, you're not freewheeling here in Ibiza.
I know, it's living time, which is like party capital of the year.
Yeah, still. So I love a night out as much as everybody else. You know what I mean? I love going out. I love getting dressed, and that non-alcohol thing has now transferred into me being able to do nights out with totally no alcohol at all. Like, I do that regularly, and I love that for me.
Yeah, so
I can love that,
wouldn't get up fresh, but still like in the vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so Amber, around this time, how was your relationship with Lee? What was it like at home?
Yeah, good. Like, do you know what? Lee really opened my eyes, like, massively. Like, he's like, you need to be doing this, you need to do this, you need to pursue your ideas, he pushed me into loads of different situations and uncomfortable, and he exposed me to so many amazing people that were doing massive things. He's older than me, obviously he's got a bigger network than me, and like, that was amazing. And so yeah, like, it was always pretty light and fun at home. Like, he's an entrepreneur, he's on the go all the time as well, but always got projects going on. So yeah. And then we actually just kind of drifted apart. I think we just outgrew each other, to be honest. We just outgrew each other, obviously, apart from my love for our son together, which is, we're still on great terms and so on. But we ended up splitting up, and just because we separated and we just outgrown. Like I said, he's 13 years older than me. I wasn't a baby, but I was 20. I was just working out my life, and then I was 28 when we split up, and I was a different person, and I'd done a shitload of personal development and achieved, new things, and that was it, really,
Yeah.
And now we have different paths completely. Yeah. Completely.
And that's the issue when I met you. I feel like literally, you were moving into your house, like your first house on your own, and single mom with Jasper.
Yeah.
Literally like the week before I moved here.
Yeah.
And then, your life's like completely changed.
Yeah.
Amber, can I ask you a bit of a personal question?
Go on.
What is just for people listening, because I feel like, network marketing, does get a bit of a bad rep.
Yeah.
Which is, I understand, because, it's a type of business that anyone can do. And because anyone can do it, a lot of people do it in a bad way. Right. And that's fine. But when you do it properly, like we did it properly.
Yeah.
When you, treat it like an actual profession, and it is. Yeah. Share with me what's possible to earn. What is the biggest paycheck that you've ever had in 1 month?
£146,000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, in peak, like, of course, peak moments. Network marketing is amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And I feel like the space is changing so much at the moment. Like, everything's changing. It's like affiliate marketing, so many ways to make money online. And, like, it's wild, really. But I never started for that. I started to pay my car finance. And that's what people need to remember, I started, but then the law of exposure and proximity allowed me to grow into something where, if you just said that to me, I didn't even really know anybody who got paid more than 40k a month, let alone,
listen, I didn't know anyone that got paid more than 5,000. My goal was up there to 500. I was like, if I earn that, I am so happy.
That's what I was. Yeah. But I just knew that what the DJs were earning.
Well, yeah, I was supposed to dance next to them. I had no idea.
Thought the DJs were earning big money, but yeah, and I used to pay their invoices.
Yeah. But like, isn't that just amazing that there's, and I think that's like this little girl, literally from Derby, like, just what is possible. And you work, yes, you did work. And then
I did. I worked and my ass off.
Yeah. And I would say, looking back in my life, the hardest I ever worked was in those 2 years, because you do lose friends, like I did, like because you change, your life has to change around you, and that can be really uncomfortable. And I think a lot of the time that's what holds people back.
Yeah.
Because to change, it is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the uncomfortable feeling keeps people like where they are.
Yeah. You have to push through.
And so, Amber, how many years are you into your network marketing journey now?
Be 5 years in June.
5 years in June. And like, talk to me kind of like, obviously you built your business. Share with me the vision. Like, what did you create from this? Like, tell me about your life now.
Yeah. So basically, obviously, we moved here kind of on a shoestring. It's enabled me to do so many things, like travel completely, like whenever. Like, obviously, network marketing allows you to work completely location independently mostly. But mainly, I would say what has given me like the business etiquette and the skill set and the opportunity and the network around me, like to do almost, I feel like I can almost do anything, to be honest. Like that confidence it instills you. Network marketing, and you will probably know this as well, it puts so much, you put yourself out there so much that you're almost fearless when you just launch. You can just do anything, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, life in Ibiza, it's great. It's perfect. It's everything I've ever wanted. It's lovely. It's just peaceful. It's my peaceful bubble. I love it here.
Yeah.
It's incredibly fun as well.
And you did a lot of personal development. I think that's really, really important. No one who is successful, I don't believe in anything in life, but especially in network marketing as an industry, there is a lot of personal development that needs to be done for everybody. No one comes to this business or any business being fully complete in themselves and knowing what they need to know. So talk to me about the personal development that you did. What did that look like? What kind of books were you reading? And how could you feel yourself changing?
So all sorts of different things I would do. And at first I would say, like, I love this phrase, money music. Like, instead of like, there would be like a weekly commute that I would do from my house in Birmingham to Derby with Jasper in the back. It's like 15-minute drive. And instead of having music on, I would have literally all different $1 million earners, speakers, different things. And that would be like free things that I could do, because I didn't have the disposable income to do anything. First books I read in network marketing were the Eric Worre GoPro one, which is just great. It's even great even now, just so simple. So many dots clicked into place from that. And then obviously Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that just gave me a whole new perspective on just like the way the world works. And like also love Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold, that one as well. Like, understanding that selling is, you're being sold to every day in your life, like whether you're selling a business, an opportunity, a product. It's normal for sales to be comfortable with sales, be confident in sales. Like that really helped me, because I was not like that. I was like, sale.
I know. And also rigid culture is like, don't sell to me. And you get like
angry. Like,
really, I'd say. And whereas in America, it's really like, oh my God, like they love selling. Yeah. So we had to learn that and be comfortable.
Yeah.
But, as a whole that as, anything, you're selling yourself, like just by putting yourself out there. And so, that was for me the biggest lesson.
Yeah.
And
other books, I'm a total procrastination queen. You might not think it, but I am. Like, I am a bit of a nightmare with that. And so Eat That Frog is great as well. And I love it because you can pick it up and you can just look. But also, just touching back on my mum would also play The Secret to me in the car when I was 7 years. 7 years old.
Splendid. I love that.
Yeah, maybe a bit older than that. Maybe it was, 12?
It came out in 2007, The Secret.
Yeah, it's about 12, 13, 14, around there.
Yeah.
I remember she would put it on, Rhonda Byrne. That's her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bob Proctor. And I remember thinking, God, what is this that you're listening to? And she'd be like, no, Amber, you need to listen. She'd have the CD on in the car. And she'd be like, listen. And talk about the law of attraction and law of vibration and all of those things. Like that was actually when I was first exposed to any personal development, actually. And also she had like a lot of Tony Robbins as well.
Yeah.
I loved that. But I didn't really know what it meant. but it was there, you know. And yeah, I love that, you know.
God, I mean, that's so inspiring for me to do for my children. I mean, not one yet, but did have it as like the norm.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that, because I definitely feel like I'm a bit older than you. It was like nothing was in my life. And then I watched The Secret and it was like the heavens open. I remember, oh my God, this life that's possible. And I had no freaking idea. And I want that to be just like the norm for my children.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, God, like, what is this that you make me listen to? And then when I saw it a few years later, I thought, oh, right. Yeah, Mum was actually really cool. She actually knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
She actually had her shit together. Like, I'm thinking, oh gosh. Yeah, I know what that is. And then, yeah, like courses, and like I would spend like, and listen, I don't encourage anyone to do this, but you do what you got to do. And I would spend my whole paycheck on a course and do all sorts of different things and coaching and mentoring. I'd put all my eggs in one basket because I was just desperate for even one nugget of advice.
Yeah.
And so I would sit on and do things like that. And, you know, I say all my paycheck, like, you know, I'd invest in myself a lot, like, because I didn't have mentors or I didn't have sponsors above me and stuff. So I had to, and if it was meant to be, I had to do it. And so, yeah, I became obsessed.
Love that. And also, I know, be obsessed or be average. No average here, honey. I love that.
Yeah, it's so true.
So true. And so, Amber, like, what is next for you now? Like, what is your half? Like, 30 years old, basically a millionaire. Like, what is next for you?
Yeah, so next for me is building my brand. So building more so like...
Often actually about your brand's ID network.
Yeah, so Team ID is part of like, is the team that everybody is connected to. Yeah. And we're obviously affiliated with a network marketing company. So Team ID holds like all of the team culture, and I'm massively passionate about that. You know, not only on the way to our success did I work hard, but I had amazing leaders that worked super hard and they helped cultivate that and bring that together. So continuing on with that, that's really exciting. Got some really amazing things coming for that very, very soon. Very aligned with us. And then I'm building me. I'd love to do a podcast at some point, but just not called just yet, I don't think. And then, yeah, like I would love to express more creativity. So like I'd love to work with brands. I'd love to continue content creating, but on a more wider scale. So not just exclusively for a network marketing brand. I would love to do that. I'd love to do something in charity as well. That's something I'm really like looking for the right place to do that. That's something that's on my heart. I really want to do that. I love doing that. Anything that's like, you know, leading in action. Acts of service. Like that's like, I love, really just feel called to do things like that. So yeah, that's it really.
Amazing. I just love it, Anne. So I know, Amber, just recently, obviously your business is going amazingly. With success, unfortunately, sometimes can come jealousy and hate, and you have experienced quite a lot of this recently online, haven't you?
Yeah, so like you say, anyone that's been successful, people always it's funny because people say to me, oh, you know, anyone that's successful, you know, this when we always say it between us that you know you've made it when you get some, you know, comments or you know, whatever. And it's like, yeah, no matter when people say that, it still hits you. And it's like, okay, yeah, like negative comments. I feel like I've grown a very thick skin now, and like, you know, I think as long as you're a good person and you know who you are, it can only come so far at you anyway. But like, of course, yeah, and I can't lie to you and say that those comments aren't hurtful secretly deep down. Like it is. And actually, I've allowed things to consume me for a long time, at periods, and it's like relentless sometimes. Every single day you're waking up, there's something else, directly or indirectly. Yeah. And when you sit in the position that I do in my, you know, my company or wherever it's directed to, it doesn't matter whether it's at you, because it's damaging your, you know, it's so damaging. And I've seen so much of it in the last 6 months.
And let's just be clear, I think this is really what, like, this is aggressive trolling online. Like from, it's like one person that's then kind of got her like cronies, and they are just, it is a full-blown attack on you. You cannot rise to it. You can't allow yourself to go to that level. You can't, I just say to them, the bottom line is we haven't done anything. We're good people. We do our thing. We focus on our own lives. We go out and do our thing. And like, you have to just remember that's who you know who you are, and you can't listen to that. And, it only, there have been times where people have reacted. I've said my piece once, and that I will not ever mention it again, apart from now, obviously. And even that was like, very stripped back, very, very, surface level, should we say. And can't give it the energy because it just comes back 10 times more. And you just, it's anyone that's going through anything like that. It's just, it has been hard to save face. And I have to do that with one game for yours particularly. It's not just against you and your business, like just so people can understand, like they're taking videos of you and Jasper, your son, in like, your private home and, like putting voiceovers over it, like commenting on it. Open for criticism as one of the comments. Like just anything. It's just like a vicious attack. It's wild how it's unreal. But that, imagine that on like, in this room, that person would be arrested and charged for assault, right? Because just because it's online, it's when the lines are so unclear. Again, it always goes back to the thing I say, as long as you know yourself, what does it matter? Like, if you're a bad person, then, you expect it. Yeah, but I'm not. And I just want to touch on something, Amber, because I know that in your personal life, you are very, very happy. Yeah, so, and I think also for people out there, like when I started my business, I was 100% like single and dating like terrible guys. My kind of self-worth around guys was not that great. Mm-hmm. And building my business allowed me to have value within myself. And then once I became the queen of my life, I met the king of my life, the dream of my life. Do you feel like that's happened to you? Yeah, like, so I 100% believe that until you become exactly what you are looking for, like listen, I don't know that this is a woman thing or what, but I've no shame in to say that in my early 20s, before in my teens, like whatever, I thought that like it was, it would be far easier just to find somebody like and just date that person and then kind of like, like live off them. Listen, I've always had amazing work ethic. I've always been ambitious. I've always wanted to do my own thing. That's not, but equally still had that thought. Yeah. It's like I can kind of be taken care of. Yeah, like he comes along, he whisks us all. Yeah. And we live happy ever after and don't have to do anything at the rest of our life. Exactly, like that. And then it's just like, but it just doesn't work like that. Sorry, but it just doesn't. And it's like, you've always got one friend that's got that, but in my experience, they're not happy anyway. So yeah, just becoming, as soon as I'd become that and I'd got everything for myself, everything just stepped up. And then, like it just came to me. Yeah. It came to me. And tell me a little bit about that feeling. How does it feel to be in a relationship like that now? Yeah, it's so nice. And it's so, sometimes I like have like old feelings like from the past relationships that come through, and then I'm like, oh, I'm so happy that it's not like that. He'll do something and I'm like, oh, this is so much nicer. Like, how do I put it? It's just little reminders of how things may have used to have been, and now it's just equal, and it's, I don't know. Yeah. Just a sense of calm, I think, that from me knowing you, what Robin brings to your life is like, it's like this. It's like, you do whatever you want to do. Oh, here's you. She's my number one fan. I was like,
coming to meet me before this, like wishing me well, like coming, like he's like, do you want me to bring you juice? Do you want me to do this, do that? And I don't ask him to do any of that. Like he just does it, and it's so nice.
And he is a massive no ego. So therefore, I think us as women, you know, when we do have success, if your guy, partner, let's say, is with the ego, and then you become successful, that could like shit on their parade, and they hate it.
And the best thing is that when I'm with him, even though obviously in my business it can mean that I have to be in masculine energy, and he allows me to be, he just holds space for me. Like that is the best thing. He holds so much space for me to just be in my feminine energy.
Yeah.
Like even though I can full well do everything for myself, he allows me to be in that, and that for me
special.
Is everything. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. It's so nice.
Oh, amazing. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I've just got one more question.
Yes.
To ask you. And that question is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Yeah. So I would give my advice to my younger self would be that basically have your boundaries. Don't allow people to, walk all over you when you're younger. Like, I think that can happen. Like, I'm definitely someone who says yes to everything and figures it out along the way. Like, do that for sure. But so there's two bits of advice. Say yes to everything, figure it out along the way, but have your boundaries and have your wits about you, and have your, listen to your intuition and your gut. Like, your gut is telling you something. If something feels off, then question it. Don't be afraid to question things, and make sure you ask for things. Like, ask for what you want, because if you don't ask for what you want, you will never get it. You've got to go out and get go out there and get what you want. Whether it's pay rise, relationships, you've got to go out and get it. Like, people will just give you what they think they can get away with. If you don't, and when you question them, they'll be forced to acknowledge what you say. And I think that as a young person, it's quite scary to do that.
Yeah. You've done it, honey. You're here, 30 years old, absolutely smashing life. One of my biggest inspirations. Thank you so much, Alba. And I know that this is just like the beginning of your journey. Like, your business and what you've done so far has set you up to where you are, and it's going to go skyrocket for the next 10 years. So thank you so much. It's my biggest pleasure.
Thank you for having me.